I have a question for you that is, I think about an experience that a lot of people have here in Albuquerque, and that is you see someone driving dangerously, you see someone without a license plate or temp tags, and police seem to be ignoring these sort of infractions. The question is, during your 8 years as mayor, have traffic stops gone up? Because I think there's a real sense that among a lot of people here in Albuquerque that unless your police officers are part of some traffic enforcement, that they almost never pull anyone over.
So traffic stops have gone up under my watch, and we actually do more targeted efforts because officers are freed up to do more actual traffic stops because we're doing automated speed enforcement on our normal thoroughfares. So in other words, we're not wasting as much time them standing out there with a radar gun, busting people going on Coors. We do that automatically with cameras, and that frees officers to go do targeted traffic stops in where they're most needed. Now, the other important part of this question is to just reiterate the fact that we absolutely do those, and we have done more than we did in the past. But it is because of technology. Technology is what frees off officers to actually do more proactive policing and more traffic stops. Now, we do know that is why most people are trying to take their license plates off if they're trying to get away with something bad off their car. But now we have more officers freed up to actually bust them. So these things go together, and it also shows that citywide, we are going to hold people accountable, whether it's through a camera or whether it's by an officer pulling you over. And that is why crime is going down finally in every category. I know we don't feel it yet, but if we continue this for the next few years, we absolutely will have and feel safer every day.
Mr. Keller, can you quantify? You said they've gone up. Can you quantify how much more policing are we doing in terms of traffic stops?
Sure. Off the top of my head, traffic citations went from about 25,000 to around 30,000, and now they're up around 40,000. Now, again, those are just rounded numbers, but they've drastically increased. And I also want to mention that wherever we do have those speed cameras, most importantly, people are going slower, on average 10 miles an hour slower. And that shows that also we can keep our streets safer with respect to pedestrian fatalities, also a major issue. So you see, again, that combination of technology supporting officers to do more proactive policing.
Mr. White,
can I respond?
Yes,
please,
your thoughts
please.
on
Thank
traffic
you.
stops.
First of all, crime is not going down. You know, the mayor likes, the first thing he said was, crime is the lowest it's been in 10 years. And then I would tell him,
I didn't say that.
Don't interrupt me, Mayor. Come
Okay.
on. Please,
Okay.
I didn't interrupt you. So he used to say 10 years. Well, crime's reduced the most in 10 years. But I would point out that in 2014, there were 30 murders. And in 2024, there were 106 murders. So he stopped saying that. Now he kind of redoes the numbers to make it sound better for him. But let's look at the numbers because they don't lie. Under the previous administration, Mayor, there were 377 murders. Under your administration to date, there have been 767 murders. That is not a decrease in crime. It's a crime crisis. It's the same reason why the governor deployed the National Guard, saying that our city was in a violent crime crisis and the city was not equipped to handle it. Again, Mayor, another failure on your part. Let me also say, he keeps bringing up this vote of no confidence. Well, Mayor, somebody shared something with me that you might be surprised to know. I was surprised. Only 4 years ago, in 2021, the Albuquerque Police Officers Association did a survey. And one of the questions in there was, do you feel supported by the mayor? Basically a vote of confidence. Over 400 people responded to that survey, Mayor. 98% of them said the mayor is not supporting them. That is a vote of no confidence. So take these jabs at me for what it's worth, because Mayor, your hypocrisy knows no limits.
And Mr. Keller, we'll let you respond in just a moment, but staying on this topic, Mr. White, you are campaigning as a law and order candidate who will support police, yet the police union has endorsed your opponent, as mentioned, and when you served as public safety director, officers issued a vote of no confidence in you. How do you explain this apparent lack of support from the ranks?
Well, first of all, let's be very clear about that endorsement. That was by 4 people in the union executive board. I was endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police, the largest police organization in our country, by a unanimous vote of over 60 people. That's important to point out. Let me talk about what happened at the state police. You know, change agents make waves. And I had this crazy notion when I got up there that if you call the state police, you should be able to reach them by 911. And that was not possible 30 years ago. So that is the program that I implemented. And yes, I did get pushback from people because to do it, we had to consolidate some of the dispatch centers. But I can tell you now, there are only 3 consolidated dispatch centers in the state police. It took some time, but my plan worked. And it was important so that we got them started. Let's look at the Albuquerque Police Department. When Mayor Berry took over, he did not know until 2 weeks after he was elected that he had a $68 million deficit. And I can tell you that was very, very difficult because we had to balance that budget. The previous mayor had given everybody in the police department and the fire department giant raises. And we had to freeze them. And was that unpopular? Hell yes, it was unpopular. But we had to do it. They got those pay raises back, and they're better off for it today.
Mr. Keller, would you like to respond?
Well, we're all going to throw a lot of statistics out today, and I think it's important that we just pause for a moment and at least understand what we're both saying. And I want to be really clear. Crime is down in every category for the first time in 10 years. Now, that's not necessarily a good thing because that means it's been going up for 10 years, even before I became mayor. So I acknowledge that. But when it does go down for the first time in 10 years, that is also true. Also with respect to homicides, when I came in, there were about 72. Now, right around now, we have about 59. Those are just what the numbers are. My argument is that we're going in the right direction, and now is no time to turn back. Now, with respect to these other issues, I want to be clear, there is a difference between the FOP and the police officers that serve in APD. One is retirees from every department, and one is actually the officers who work at APD each and every day. And I would never discredit their endorsement of anyone. I didn't do it when they endorse other people that I don't like. They are literally the officers who keep us safe every day, and we should respect their endorsement even if you don't get it. Now, I will say this. There's a reason why these groups had a no confidence vote. The theme is common. You cut their pay at the state police. You cut their resources at the state police. At APD, you cut their pay and you cut their resources, and more importantly, you put them at risk. Your policy to unshackle them is what actually led to the DOJ and to shootings and to them then having repercussions that hurt and held back our police department for almost a decade.
Mr.
You
Keller?
triggered the DOJ. That's why they don't have confidence.
Oh my God.
Mr. Keller, would you like to respond to his claims that you also had a no confidence vote?
They're just totally different things. I was endorsed by the police. He's referring to a survey that's regularly done. And actually, I think the fact that I did get their endorsement shows how we improved and how we worked together and how we've made things right and rebuilt our police department.
Mr. White, I feel a rebuttal coming.
Thank you.
If you could just be brief, what would
there
you
were
like to say here?
There were a lot of things that need to be corrected. Mayor, you're so desperate to cling to power, you'll say anything. When I was the Secretary of the Department of Public Safety, we gave the state police under Governor Johnson the largest pay increase in the history of the state police. We also increased the manpower, the largest increase, Mayor, in the history of the state police. I know you're desperate, but please, it's just not a good look, and it's kind of sad. It really is. So, and to say the FOP is retirees, it is the largest police organization in the country. And your endorsement came from 4 people from the executive staff. Mayor, I want to repeat this. You have had 767 murders. You've had 58,000 violent crimes since you've been mayor. There were 377 under the previous administration. I get why you want to change the numbers because you don't have results to run on, so you're trying to fabricate your own numbers.
Mr.
It's
White,
not true.
So
Thank
with
you.
that,
I think the difference here is you're trying to change your own past. You literally got in trouble for forcing overtime on the state police. That's why they gave you a no confidence vote, and because you cut their resources. So, the irony is, about clinging to power, you are trying to get back into power. You have run for 4 political offices. You've had a very mixed record, if not scandalous, if not dangerous.
and with that,
And
we're
now
going
you
to
wanna be
go to
mayor.
the
I know,
next
but
question
real
because we want to
quick,
stay
though,
on
Jessica,
topic.
it's important. I did not cut their hours. Mayor.
You did forced overtime. There's a
Mayor,
headline, fact
stop.
check.
It's not. Mayor, before I became the secretary, a large group of state police officers sued the department because of that very issue. I had to implement that because it was ordered by the court.
Okay,
Please.
and we do want to move on and get to some other questions as well.